Hey everybody, I wanted to welcome to our first video in our digital toolbox series. Today we're going to be focusing on communication. I'm just going to do a brief introduction. My name is Katie Maddox and I'm the Technology Director for Chilton County Schools. So really the focus of this series is going to be for anybody really, but I'm really trying to kind of narrow in on our high school students and giving them some more skills that can allow them to be college and career ready. And a lot of these are going to integrate technology, all of them actually, and hopefully they're just going to give you some ideas that you can use in your classroom, help integrate technology a little bit more, and help our students overall be successful in fostering these soft skills or durable skills and things that are really going to be needed in the workplace. So, little fun fact, if you know me very well, you may know that I wasn't always in education. So, upon graduating college, there was a surplus of teachers going into the field, and so I actually worked in the corporate world for about a year before I entered the world of education, and just that 1 year has taught me enough to last a lifetime of how important these skills are in the workplace. We do them every day at school, but a lot of our kids and students think that we are just doing this just to be giving them something to do. They don't realize the impact that it's going to have in the workforce and in the workplace. So let's go ahead and get started. You can scan that QR code for access to the presentation, and I'm also going to be linking a copy as well whenever you get this. Okay, so all of this lesson kind of stemmed, I was inspired by going to Jacksonville State University to their innovative regional in-service center, and we talked about a lot of labor force things. So there's a link right here. I'm actually going to, that's super small, so I'm actually going to jump over to the web page to show you that too. So the highest demand occupations in Alabama, and this is pretty up to date right now. Gonna filter it because I had it for a second ago. So our highest demand in 2022 employment was general operations managers. Let's see, I'm sorry, technical difficulties. There we go. I'm so sorry. So the highest demand occupations that we had in 2022 were retail salespersons, followed by registered nurses, and then assemblers and fabricators. So in those top three positions, really only one of them is a college graduate. Salespeople can be anyone who has come out of high school. Assemblers and fabricators are going to be high school people who have gone and gotten certifications and started working on an assembly line. Looking forward to 2032, we're going to sort one more time. The numbers changed just a little bit, replacing the top three with the one who was, I believe, fourth earlier with the stockers and order fillers. Again, someone who is not a college graduate can enter in those workforces. And so whenever we're looking at these things, also let's look at the fastest growing too while we're going on here. Nurse practitioners is one of the fastest growing occupations. Again, that is going to be a college degree, but then we look at restaurant cooks, occupational therapy assistants probably require an associate's degree or some type of licensing program, medical and health service managers, PT assistants, IT analysts, and machinery mechanics. So these occupations, the common factor in all of them are going to be those durable skills. They're going to be things that whenever managers are looking at hiring these positions, they are thinking, I cannot teach a person how to talk to people or how to work well with others, but I can teach them this skill. So if we have really outstanding soft skills, then we're going to be more marketable to those managers to come in and then learn these other skills that I need to work in a restaurant, or I need to work in your manufacturing plant, or I need to work to stock your shelves. So it's a really cool website. It's linked below if you want to continue and go dig around some more on there. So more than ever, our employers are reporting that they need foundational skills, literacy, numeracy, and problem solving. They need to be literate, need to be able to read and write and present themselves well verbally. Numeracy, they need basic math skills, and problem solving. Again, something that we can practice as much as we want to in school, but we have to practice them in the real world applications. Durable skills, which are those soft skills, that's a new buzzword for it, teamwork, communication, punctuality, and adaptability. Employers seek durable skills nearly 4 times more frequently than the top 5 technical skills. Again, I can teach you what I need you to do at the job. I cannot teach you how to be personable, how to talk to people, I can tell you over and over again how to answer the phone, but it is part of that embedded personality within the person that makes them want to be hired by those people. This is an awesome handout, and I will find it and I will link it with this presentation. So it is this big wheel where it talks about all of the skills and kind of subpars them all for these durable skills. So right here we have collaboration, communications, creativity, critical thinking, growth mindset, leadership, fortitude, and a couple of other ones. So management skills. So these are lots of ways that we're going to be focusing on. So we're going to take some of those little sub ones off, and again, I'll link that handout so it's actually large and you can see it, and I may be able to find the whole article to put in there, so that these are the things we're wanting to focus on with our students. So I kind of wrote them out a little bit through there. So under communication, these kinds of things that we can practice this with would be doing things like presentations, negotiation skills, public relations, social media, and written and verbal communication. So what I'm hoping to introduce to you today are some ways that they can be practiced within the classroom with doing activities that are related to your content, but are also incorporating and fostering these skills. So the things we're going to focus on today are going to be Canva, Kami, and Google Classroom. This was originally supposed to be done in January. There was lots of transitions going on during the month of January, and so I actually ended up presenting this for the month of February, and now it is the end of February and I'm recording this. So that is okay. So we are focusing on communication for the first installment, and then the next one we will do hopefully during the month of March. I also have thrown some AI in for my friends who are watching the video so that y'all kind of have like a little bit of an extra dosage in there. So the first one is Kami. Kami is a district provided program. It is essentially a PDF editor, but it is so much more. One of the things I love about Kami and that I preach all the time is the differentiation abilities. So I am going to just turn off my camera real quick so I can focus on moving around the screen, because that's a little bit distracting to me whenever I'm like not looking. So with Kami, we are able to, Kami's really stepped up their game, by the way. If you're like a veteran Kami user and you're like, yeah, I can pull up a PDF and edit it, there are lots of really cool things that we can do in Kami. So one of the things that I want to focus on that I think would be a great activity for students is for them to work on practicing doing the same response, but to type it and or write it, to listen to audio to feedback of themselves, and then to also watch themselves in a video. So just like I told you I was going to turn off my webcam because it was distracting, I can see myself talking with my hands. That's something I'm really bad about doing, which when I'm presenting live, maybe that is a good thing. Maybe it's too distracting. I really don't know how to judge that for myself unless I watch it back. With audio, super embarrassing story, but I recorded a joint presentation last summer with people from all over the state, hosted this state webinar. I watched it back and I immediately heard all the ums. Oh my gosh, how many times did I say It felt like I said it 1,000. I never caught on to the fact that I was doing it when I was talking, but when I listened to myself, it was so evident. Again, was not self-aware. Listening to the voice recording, became very self-aware. So I think doing an activity where they have to say the same thing, but they have to write it, do an audio recording, and watch themselves do it can give them some ways to figure out some things that they do to make themselves and make their communication even better. So hyperlinked in here, if you click this letter to this year, it's going to take us to a sample activity in Kami. So you can see that I have already done some examples over here. So with Kami, all that we do once we're in here, you'll have to sign in with Google and all that fun stuff. I've already done that for you. You are actually going to come down here to the text box option to first verbally respond. So if I want to put my response on here, like let's just say that we're pretending this is a letter addressed to you. Your letter should be personal, academic, emotional, one challenge. So I'm just going to come over here and click into this text box and say, a challenge for me this year is to make sure I am making eye contact when I speak to others. Okay, you can make the box bigger, smaller, change your font, all the good things to make it pretty. So this would be an example of something that I'm typing. What we can also do is that we can kind of select, you have to kind of select an area and come over here and leave a comment. So you can also do a text comment over on the side if you want to. for this. But what I did during my training was I selected the microphone and left a voice comment. So I highlighted right here, and then I left a voice comment. And so now I'm going to read back what I have said. And this would be really interesting to do, especially if they want to read exactly what they type, to see how fluent they read, see if they, I just said again, now I'm very self-aware about it. See if they are skipping words, see if they're, language, if they're like fluctuation, their voice needs to be better, worse, indifferent, whatever. Another thing we can also do, same thing, highlight, come over here and pick our camera. We can make a video comment. So I did that here as well. And so now I'm going to have written out a statement, I'm going to record audio, and then I'm going to watch myself speak it. So by doing this activity, it gives students a way to be able to provide their own feedback, critique themselves on the 3 different ways that they can communicate with others. Their tone may be perfect whenever they write it out, but they may find some things that they need to do, like they move their hands too much, or they don't make eye contact, or they are saying or they do whatever while they're speaking. Also, just while I have you here, I do want to just go to Canva for just a moment. Now you can upload any kind of activity you want to as a PDF, but they also just have templates for things too. So what I did for this particular activity was I just kind of went, and over here I did maybe an about me to search. They had all sorts of, some can be very childish, some are a little bit more advanced, but you could really make this for whatever you want it to be. It could be an introduction activity. They have to introduce themselves to an employer. They have to talk about a certain skill that they've done. They have to do a patient presentation, like they're presenting rounds to a doctor, different things like that. So Cami, great differentiation tool, great tool to practice multiple modes of communication. Everybody loves Canva. If you do not know what Canva is, we need to be friends. I have a series on being Canva crazy. We all have that upgraded educator Canva account. So you're just going to go in through Clever, authenticate, and do all that stuff. So one thing that I think would be a good activity to work on communication is, some people have no problem with this, but some people have a really hard time selling themselves. What characteristics are marketable about yourself that make you the best person for that job? One question that has been asked in almost every interview that I have been on or sat through is, what makes you the best person for this job? So why not have them make an infographic highlighting those things of themselves that make them the best person for that job? So an infographic is basically like a paper, but it has little graphics and little eye-catching details and things like that. So I made a template over here. I recently became technology director, so I did some little things. I did not type all the small words on there, but I just put some things on there that I felt like were ideas that, I felt what were beneficial for me becoming technology director. Servant leadership, expert knowledge, collaboration, clearly spelling is not one of them. Network of resources. So these are some things that if I were presenting myself to a future employer, that I would highlight on. This is what sets me apart. This is what makes me special for this job and your best pick. So when you go to Canva, again, you can click on this little template right here. It's going to take you to infographics. All you're going to do is go to templates right here and search infographics. There are tons. You can let the kids pick their own. You can pick it. It can have lots of pictures and charts on it. Probably don't need that as much because we want them to sell themselves. Maybe something that has some pictures and some words, a good little mixture. But I think a lot of children, you would be shocked. Some of them really, that may be a struggle for them to think about the characteristics of themselves that make them the best person, that are specific. Not just, oh, well, I can talk to people. Okay, well, tell me specifically, how do you talk to people? Why do people like listening to you? Are you a good speaker? Do you make them feel, are you hospitable? Do you make them feel welcomed? Are you able to, help them understand things if they don't understand technical terminology, are you able to break it down? How, to be very specific of the things. And I think it would be also great if you as the teacher made one for yourself too as an example, because I think they would really enjoy that too, and you may enjoy it as well. So I think that doing kind of like replacing the elevator speech idea with an infographic, just also throwing this out there, this would be an excellent activity to leave in the event of your absence one day. If you had to be out one day, I would present it and model it. You can make a little video and leave for them, but this would be something that they really should work hard on and want to be presentable and make it even used for the future. Okay, Google Classroom. So there's no better way to practice communication than with each other. But we can put kids in groups, we can try to make them talk peer-to-peer and things like that. But one of the unfortunate realities of today's world is that we have to communicate online. We have to email. We also have to learn how to communicate and respond appropriately. That we can't just tell everybody we think they're dumb. We have to learn how to strategically phrase our words so that we get our point across, but we're not insulting people. That can be difficult, especially when we grow up in the world of the keyboard warriors on Facebook who tell everybody what they think. So one thing that would be really easy to do is to help foster and facilitate a classroom discussion within Google Classroom. I will say you have to change your settings for the most part for this. I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly where those are. I had to kind of describe it when I'm presenting, but this is the benefit of me being on my computer. So if you pick your Google Classroom and go over here to your settings and scroll down, for stream and classwork, you want your stream to be where students can post and comment. Now, one concern that was brought up is like, we don't want to leave this all the time. No problem. Turn it on, post your assignment. Once your assignment's done, turn it back off and go to where only teachers can post and comment. So just have it up for the time being to do so. So what I'm going to do is, I've already done one, but I'm going to make another one. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make a question. Nope, we're going to do an assignment. So we're going to title it class discussion. And you're going to ask your question. And then what you also want to do is to give students specific directions on how to respond. So whether that be to address 2 classmates, name them, and write at least 2 sentences. You would think you don't have to say this, but yes, you do. Discussion boards are very prevalent in grad school. If you've ever gone back there, you have to do them all the time. So what you can do is you can post this class discussion, and then the kids are going to be able to come down and comment underneath it. And you want them to go back and comment on what their other classmates are saying. So, they'll answer the question essentially first, and somebody has to go first, unfortunately. They'll answer the question, but then you want them to return back to facilitate conversation. And, this is done in Google Classroom, where you can see and monitor everything that's going on. And this is where we address, like, even though you disagree with Bobby, that you still have to present it in a professional way. We can't just say, Bobby, that's dumb, and we're not going to do that. You've got to take into consideration maybe the viewpoint he's trying to sell, how that's different, back up your validation of why you don't think that's a good idea, etc. So I have not really used this before. Like I said, I kind of just took this from whenever we've had like little class discussions whenever I've been in grad school and we were in the Canvas courses and things like that. But it can be done in Google Classroom easily. You just can't forget that you've got to incorporate or change that setting so that they can be able to do that. So I thought too that since we were doing this presentation online today, we could kind of talk about some AI tools. I mentioned I did a whole series of AI last semester, so you may be AI'd out, but this is something that's very easy to do too. School AI creates what we call spaces. They're like little individual chat rooms. So as a teacher, you could set one of those up and the student could practice that conversation with the AI bot. Essentially, it's not necessarily with their peers, but they're interacting with the AI tool. The AI tool is asking the questions in return. And what I love about School AI is that you can go back and see the whole conversation. Like you can see exactly what the student typed, how they responded, were they responding in complete sentences, were they being professional, checking their tone, things like that. Another thing that you could do too is talking about CareerPod, specifically in mind. There is an education and training program at Career Tech, and so they are training to be teachers. Well, as educators, we all know there is nothing more boring than standing there watching someone read PowerPoint notes. So CuraPod is a really good presentation tool. Typically, I sell this to teachers. I don't know why students couldn't use it as well, but it gives them kind of a guided base to go through presentations that you want to have kind of an introductory question. You want to have something thought-provoking. You want to talk about a few things. You want to use visual aids. You want to have an activity. Get them involved. So CuraPod would be a really good presentation tool I would recommend if you want them to do something that is a good overall presentation or lesson. It has lots of variety of activities and things like that. Another thing that's kind of new on the scene is Google Vids. I have not been brave enough to make one yet, but it is a really cool video tool. So kids can actually make their own videos, podcast, presenting something, presenting a product, and it has lots of editing features and things like that. That's all safe and within Google. So that's why I suggested it. You know, obviously we could just turn our Chromebook cameras on and do that too, but Google Vids is what it's called, has a few more features that I think would be very appealing to our older students so that they could do something and really share their creativity. So one of the things that I really want to just come back and hone in is one of the phrases that I really, if I had to pick something to be my methodology for the work that I do that drives my passion for this job for our district, is that I genuinely want all of us to be able to work smarter, not harder. I don't want us to reinvent the wheel every time. I want us to be able to communicate with each other in ways that are effective and beneficial that get more than one thing done. All of these activities that were mentioned today, Kami, the Canva infographic, and Google Classroom, all of those could be geared towards content-specific items and bring in those communication skills. 2 birds, 1 stone, that we can knock that out with. So if you ever want any help or want some feedback or assistance, please email me. If I do not respond, please email me again. I always try to make sure that I'm available. I love to come in schools. I love to come in classrooms. That is where I have been, where I've started. It really just fuels my soul. So I hope that you enjoyed this presentation for today. I am also going to, it says the Google form emailed to you. If you are watching this video, you will get your own Google form for PD credit. You will have to complete it, and then at the end of the semester, I will go back and assign your PD credit for this. You will only get 0.5 hours for this, but that's okay. We are glad that you came, and coming up in March, we will be addressing creativity. So we have lots of fun things that we want to do for creativity to help foster creative skills and really help people think outside the box whenever wanting to benefit and sell themselves to future employers. So I thank you so much for your time and appreciate it. And if you ever need anything at all, please don't hesitate to reach out and email.